Prime Minister, I was paid a very high salary, beginning at $8,000 a month in 1981, mounting to $20,000 a month. And you know that in the private sector, they pay as much as, I know one person in the private sector who earned $180,000 a month, more than $2 million ringgit a year. But prime ministers were paid 30,000. I think that's a lot of money. I will tell you that I didn't spend the money at all. I don't have to spend. The house is provided by the government, electricity and water is paid by the government, all the transport is given by government, and for makan, except for breakfast. People invite me all the time. You see, I don't have to spend money on makan even. You know? If I come to Penang, I can go for a nasi kandar here. Somebody pays, I don't pay. So all my savings I have saved, and that is what I am doing now. I am spending my savings rearing cows, buffaloes, and horses in Langkawi. Please come and see them, they are there. But the pay of a prime minister is not enough to buy support, not enough. So when you want to use money to become popular, you need more money. But you don't have enough money. So what do? You steal. That's what you do. You see, when Najib was made Prime Minister, I was so happy. I celebrated. I went to see him. I returned to UMNO. And I had great hopes that this son of a previous Prime Minister who dedicated his life to this country must be like his father. He must devote his career to growing the country, to finishing the work or extending the work of his father. That was what I thought. And I worked hard to get him to be the Prime Minister. I'm afraid that Dato' Abdullah didn't quite like me because I worked for Najib. And when he became Prime Minister, I was so happy and I thought, well, he may ask me some advice on things and all that. But I found that he wasn't interested in my advice. You know, you feel frustrated, of course. You have been in power for so long, you have done something, and you know a few things, and you think that a little bit of consultation with you might be serve as a guide to a new Prime Minister. But I was not called. The first time I met was after, well, I raised the problem of the crooked bridge, the railway line, and all those things that we have agreed upon and were not carried out. So I asked him, why are you not doing this? You promised. Yes, your predecessor did not, but you are not bound by what your predecessor decided. Why don't you build a bridge? He told me that there is an agreement with Singapore that the bridge cannot be built unless Singapore agrees. You cannot touch even one brick from the causeway because there is an agreement with Singapore that you cannot change the causeway without both parties agree. So I asked a simple question, can you show me the agreement? Until now he has not shown me any agreement. He lied to me. He lied to me. There was no such agreement. I ought to know. For 22 years, I spent my time trying to have good relations with Singapore and I failed. I could have built a bridge, but Singapore doesn't want. So I said, let's build a crooked bridge. It's a great tourist attraction. But, you know, that Abdullah doesn't want to build, and then Sri Najib also didn't want to build. But there were other things. But instead of doing what the people wanted him to do, he decided that he could buy their support. He conceived this idea of BRIM, Bantuan Rakyat. I said, no, this is not the right way. You serve the people. You do what the people want you to do. Create more jobs for people so that they can earn a good living. But he thought, it's not necessary. You give $500 a year and they will support you. And in the 13th general election, you know, he did not do as well as his predecessor even. He actually failed. As head of Selangor division of UMNO, he couldn't regain UMNO. So it's quite clear, I think, that giving money to people is not going to make you popular. What will make you popular is the creation of jobs, the training of people so that they can fill in the jobs and get good pay for their skills. That's what the people wanted. But he thought that, well, BRIM, you see. Of course, besides BRIM, he also gave a lot of money to whoever complained about anything, give money. They come to see him complaining about their constituency, give money. Anything at all, give money. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So when I told him that it doesn't work, he got very annoyed with me. For 6 months, he never talked to me. And then, of course, the Chief Minister of Pahang, Menteri Besar Pahang, asked me, have you been advising Najib? I said, no, he doesn't talk to me. So he noticed that actually that was the case. And he told Najib that please talk to him. Because this man is responsible for 2 prime ministers retiring. So it's better to be nice to him. So after that, it was nice. But nice only up to a point. When it comes to giving BRIM, he thinks that if you give more money, therefore they will support him. I told him it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen that way. And when you give money to people and they don't support you, you think that you give more money to people, therefore they will support you. So then there arises this need to have money to give people. Not 100, 200, not 1,000, 2,000, or even 10,000, 20,000. But million. You give a member of parliament, UMNO member of parliament, $1 million. He couldn't speak. He just stared at the money. That's mine. And you know, Shahrir, member of parliament for Johor Bahru, admitted that he received 1 million ringgit from Najib. And when asked, why do you ask it from Najib? Who else? If I need money, I ask my president. And Muhammad Mazlan gets 2 million ringgit. And I'm quite sure many of the other members of parliament and division heads of UMNO have received money from him. And the result is that they are not performing their duty. They know what Najib has done is wrong. Having money in his account is wrong. But they continue to support him. They continue to support him. And he, for his part, made sure that there will be no avenue for anyone to get rid of him. Now, one of the ways of removing a prime minister is through a vote of non-confidence. Now, a vote of non-confidence will only work if you have a majority. The opposition is the opposition because they don't have the majority. To have the majority in Parliament for a vote of non-confidence, you need members of the government. But members of the government are not going to make any sacrifice in order to overthrow Najib. They know, they must know, everybody knows that Najib has not been very honest about money. But they will support him. So we cannot remove Najib through a vote of non-confidence. Although somebody said they can get the numbers, but they couldn't get the numbers. Now the other way of getting rid of a prime minister is to make a police report that he has stolen money. And the police report was made by Datuk Khairuddin. He was brave enough. He came and told me that he wants to do this. I said, you really want to do this? You know what will happen to you? But he wanted to, and he made a police report that Najib has basically stolen money. So what happened? Nothing happens. Instead, Khairuddin is called up by the police and questioned. And of course, Khairuddin, not knowing the law very well, decided to have a lawyer to help him. And the lawyer he chose happened to be my ex-political secretary, Mahathir. So this lawyer was helping Khairuddin to answer questions by the police. And the police now ask question of the lawyer and accuse him of being a terrorist, of trying to sabotage the economy and the banking system of this country. I think you can't imagine that these two people suddenly out of the blue can become a terrorist and sabotage the nation. It's nonsense. But that did not prevent them from charging these two people, detaining them in jail, and accusing them of being terrorists under SOSMA. This is another law. They got rid of the ISA, and everybody, including the opposition, felt very happy. Here is a great man. He's got rid of the ISA. Not like his predecessor, like Mahathir. You know, he kept the ISA. But what happened is that he has two successors to the ISA. One is SOSMA, the other one is this new law, the securities something or other law, which is worse than ISA. Because under this new law, which has been passed by Parliament and by the Senate, it gives the Prime Minister power, which was before rests only with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Before to declare an emergency, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong must sign the declaration and say there is an emergency and we suspend the operation of the laws and we can arrest just about anybody and throw them into jail. But that means having to ask the Agong to sign. But under this new law, security law, Najib does not have to ask the Agong at all. As Prime Minister, he can declare this area a security area, and he can then arrest people without trial and throw them in for God knows how long. So he has usurped, stolen the power of the Agong. Fortunately, the Agong has not signed this thing. But of course, in our system, if the Agong does not sign, and if Parliament ratify the law within 2 months after it is ratified, then the law becomes effective. But so far, he has not gone back to Parliament to ask for the law to be ratified. But he has this idea that he should replace the Agung, His Royal Highness Najib. His ambition has no bounds. He wants to do everything and have the power to do everything without question. It is because of this idea that he should have absolute power that he came up with the idea of one MDB.